This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 735. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out our podcast over at markinout.com. Also, download and subscribe at Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and also Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you may be listening to your podcast. Give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Also, buy a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Give us a like on Facebook. Give us a follow on Instagram at markinout11. Give us a follow on TikTok at markinout, and give us a follow on Twitter at markinout. You can follow me on all social media platforms. That is right, it is Dave the Raven. You can follow me at DavidPTDPT. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. And you can follow also Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. You know exactly how we are about to start the show, so I am going to ask him how he's doing. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Doing great. How was your week?
It was pretty uneventful. I made some sauce for short rib ravioli that I got from BJ's, which they were decent. They were pretty good at maybe even
short rib ravioli.
I expected the meat inside to be a lot different. I should have known, given that it was from a Costco-esque place.
Yeah. That
it wasn't going to be actual meat, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, but you gotta be cautious with that stuff.
I mean, it was still good, though. But I wish I had beef stock and red wine for the sauce, but whatever. I used chicken stock instead. It was still good.
All right, there you go.
And that's basically all I did. We're recording early because I'm flying down to Florida this week, so...
Yeah.
But how about yourself? How was your week?
My week was fantastic. Got to meet up with Chris and a bunch of friends on Saturday, and got a lot of work done.
Where did you go?
We went out to a bar in Merrick. But this weekend was incredible because we had the Elimination Chamber taking place from Toronto. Oh, man. It was such an eye-catcher that even Drake was there. But, yeah, let's start it off with the Elimination Chamber match itself for the women's #1 contendership. Bianca Belair picking up the victory over Liv Morgan, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Bayley, and Alexa Bliss to come out as that winner. Even before the matchup started, we got the appearance of Jade.
Yeah, it was starting. The bell rang. It started with Liv Morgan and Naomi. I think the bell rang. And Jade Cargill returned and attacked Naomi. Naomi didn't fight back. And they announced that she's no longer able to compete. Bianca Belair was flipping out inside her pod. And everyone immediately is like, I was right. Naomi did it. Naomi attacked Jade. I'm not sold.
Yeah, I didn't see the Twitter going back and forth and stuff like that. But I guess I'm glad I didn't. But yes, I agree. I think that it was fantastic that she went right after Naomi. And the thing, it was very interesting because, like you mentioned, first they played it off where you had Liv Morgan being like, you don't understand, it wasn't me. And then she made a beeline to Naomi and started beating the crap out of her. Just beating her up so bad, slamming the cage door on her. Just an incredible beatdown. But
And then
like you said,
Bianca Belair was out next. She went to go check on Naomi, but Liv Morgan never gave her that the option to. I guess she attacked her.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not sold on Bianca not being the person.
Yeah, we had Roxanne Perez out after that. She went right after Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. And I thought she was about to hit a Pop Rocks on Bianca Belair, but she jumped over her, hit a Hurricane Rana on Liv Morgan. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that was a very cool spot.
Bayley out. She went right for Roxanne Perez. And then finally Alexa Bliss. I like when she went for that crossbody and Bayley and Bianca Belair caught her. And I guess if you technically want to call it that, they would hit a World's Strongest Slam together on her. I thought that was cool. But Bayley was the second person eliminated from the match after an Oblivion. You had Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair fighting on top of that pod, and Bianca Belair used her ponytail and whipped Liv Morgan off the pod. But the sound that made, did you see the video from inside the arena or inside the stadium?
Yeah, that was rough.
The sound that hair the hair made was insane. And then Liv was left all like bloodied up on her abdomen from that. But yeah. Bianca Belair hit everyone with a crossbody off that pod into the chamber. I liked the sequence that led to Alexa Bliss eliminating Roxanne Perez. There was like a Pop Rocks reversal into that code breaker by Liv Morgan.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then the Twisted Bliss. Alexa Bliss hit the Sister Abigail on Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan took advantage of that and pinned Alexa Bliss with a jackknife. That was very unexpected. I partly thought it was coming down to Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss at that point.
Yeah, it was so difficult to even see what was going to be happening.
And then the whole ending sequence was just like super nice because I really thought Liv Morgan was winning that chamber.
I definitely did not think that Liv Morgan was winning, but this chamber was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Next up, you had Trish and Tiffy pick up the victory over Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Very expected. It was a nice filler match.
It was
expected outcome.
It was chaotic at times. Like almost to the point that it was an AEW tag team match. So I would have changed that. I hated that aspect of it. I like the reverse bear hug that Nia did to Trish Stratus. The prettiest moonsault ever spot that Candice knocked her off the rope looked so dangerous. I don't know how they did that. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But Trish Stratus hit an Avalanche Stratusfaction. Tiffany Stratton hit the PME on Nia Jax and picked up that victory.
Yeah.
It was, like you said, it was a good filler match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to see Trish Stratus. It was her hometown, so.
Yeah, I agree.
And they had matching gear. It was cool. After that, we had Sami Zayn lose to Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match. The lights were literally out for this. What'd you think of that?
I liked it. I liked the impact of the lights being out. It added a nice effect to it because usually the unsanctioned matches, they do it after the event is over, where sometimes there's a referee, the lights are usually dimmed and this and that. They turned off everything, no commentary team. So I like the added effects to it.
I don't know. I could have done without the lights effect, but outside of that, I think this was exactly what you could have expected this to be.
Mm-hmm.
I like them using a hockey stick, given that they're both Canadian. They're in the Sky Dome. I don't know when the last time we saw something like this in WWE, at least. Kevin Owens stacked 2 tables up. And he eventually pushed Sami Zayn off the top rope, and Sami went through both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the last time we saw that.
I can't even tell you.
Kevin Owens did that Fisherman Buster onto a chair, but the half Nelson suplex that Sami Zayn did to Kevin Owens on that same chair, I thought was crazier.
Yeah, they did. They pulled out all of the stops.
Kevin Owens pulled the referee in front of a haluva kick, and then hit Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens hit Sami Zayn with a stunner, Charles Robinson did that WrestleMania rundown and only counted at 2, so Kevin Owens took him out.
Mm-hmm.
He hit a Fisherman Buster through a table from the middle rope. Sami Zayn ends up taking out a barbed wire wrap chair. And then he made a bridging chair spot from that. He did a Blue Thunder Bomb onto that.
Yeah, apparently this wasn't even shaved down. They refused to shave it down for this matchup.
Which it didn't look like it was like sticking into them, so I don't know.
I mean, who knows what to believe with it too.
But Kevin Owens wrapped a chair around Sami Zayn's neck at one point, sent him into the ring post outside, and then did 2 power bombs onto the apron. Kind of shades of NXT. We've seen that on the main roster, obviously, but it was a great match between both of them. And then Kevin Owens went back towards the ring, exposed the floor, dragged Sami Zayn over to do a package pile driver, and Randy Orton returned. And he dropped Kevin Owens with an RKO, teased using a chair. And then he dropped it and set up for a punt, but the agent stopped Randy Orton right before he could hit a punt.
Yeah.
So Randy Orton dropped a bunch of security guards with RKOs.
This was just so entertaining.
Yeah, it was very well done.
I think that there was high expectations on them, especially based off their rivalry and NXT. And I feel like NXT and Ring of Honor, and I feel like they definitely delivered.
Yeah. Main event saw John Cena pick up the victory over CM Punk, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest in that Elimination Chamber to become the number 1 contender to Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship. This was a doozy of a match.
Seth Rollins was special.
Seth and Drew McIntyre started, which them fighting felt a lot longer than that attack angle with Jade Cargill and Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it felt like that, but it seemed like we had more time with that than we did of actually waiting for Bianca Belair to come out. Mm-hmm. But Damian Priest was out next. I liked that he did a Razor's Edge to Seth Rollins onto Drew McIntyre over the top rope. I thought that was pretty cool. Logan Paul, by the way, writing again on the Chamber. I thought that was funny. Sending a message to Drake, which Drake posted, I believe, on Instagram.
Yeah, the OVO.
What is that? I don't know what that is. Is that a song
that's his music label.
Oh, okay. And then, so Logan Paul was out next. And I had a feeling that John Cena was going to be last in the match, but he actually entered before CM Punk. And he hit everybody with the attitude adjustments, except for Drew McIntyre, who rocked him with the Claymore. Mm-hmm. When he went to pin John Cena, Damian Priest rolled Drew McIntyre up to eliminate him. And McIntyre rocked him with the Claymore after that. And that led to, I think, Logan Paul right after that, eliminating Damian Priest with a frog splash.
What did you think about that frog splash?
What it was like, I don't know. It was good. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more, but I think it was, I don't know. I didn't really expect that to take out Damian Priest.
Well, I guess because he had the Claymore.
True. The Claymore did take place.
After that, we saw John Cena and CM Punk came out. He went right after Logan Paul. Where you think maybe that could be a WrestleMania match. I think it's more solidified as to who Logan Paul's wrestling at WrestleMania. But
I can't see.
It's not
Punk
CM Punk.
Paul.
It was clearly, if you watch Monday Night Raw, it's got to be AJ Styles.
Yeah, I wouldn't do Punk versus
AJ
Paul.
Styles is calling Logan Paul out live at Madison Square Garden next week.
Yeah.
But CM Punk eventually hit that GTS on Logan Paul to eliminate him. So there is like merit as to, CM Punk could face Logan Paul, but obviously we know that's not happening.
Yeah, I feel like we got the conclusion of it because Logan Paul was the person that eliminated CM Punk.
Right.
So for him to eliminate him, it kind of like got the revenge.
I like John Cena and CM Punk doing a heart attack to Seth Rollins, given that they were up in Canada.
Yeah, CM Punk, I think it's in his contract that he does need to hit at least one Bret Hart or Hart Foundation move or segment in his match. So
yeah,
it's fitting.
CM Punk and John Cena, I don't know if I saw anybody else compare it to this spot, but it's like in recent history, what it reminds me of, they did the Naomi and Jordan Grace Royal Rumble spot where they hug and then just go like hockey fight each other. I thought that was interesting. I don't think they were
like the entire
ripping that spot,
John Cena looking at him being like, I missed you, and CM Punk being like, I missed you too.
Yeah, and John Cena at one point had CM Punk in that STF. He got out of it and locked in the Anaconda Vice, but John Cena got out of that with a pin to CM Punk. Obviously, CM Punk kicked out of that. Cena caught CM Punk off a dive. We've seen that before. He picks him up, hits that attitude adjustment. I thought that was going to be it for CM Punk, which had me worried because I picked CM Punk to win this. And then when Seth Rollins hit CM Punk with the stomp, I thought that was it. And then Seth Rollins went to the top for a super stomp. John Cena caught him. Seth got out of it, but CM Punk hit that GTS on him, which led to Seth Rollins getting hit with the attitude adjustment, and CM Punk eliminated Seth Rollins. So it comes down. Match. Comes down to CM Punk. It comes down to John Cena. Cena went for a handshake. CM Punk, he stuck his hand out, went to shake it, but boom, hits a GTS instead.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena hits another attitude adjustment. CM Punk kicks out of that. And like, maybe he's the real devil, Seth Rollins. We thought maybe they were done. Hits a stomp on CM Punk on the outside of the chamber on his way out of the match after he was eliminated. And then CM Punk, John Cena locked him in that STF and took advantage of that whole stomp situation.
I mean, some people were like, oh, the signs were there after he did that. What did you expect him to do?
Exactly. He's not going to like, whoa, well, let me make sure he's okay and let him get up.
Yeah, even if nothing happened after the match, what was he going to do?
Yeah. It makes so much sense. And then you see that other angle of CM Punk being held back when they were lifting the cage up. I don't know if he was going in to fight him or whatever. I don't know what that was going to be, if that was going to be something. It doesn't appear that it was going to be anything, but you had Cody Rhodes and The Rock come out afterwards. Travis Scott was with The Rock, which we didn't really have an explanation for. And The Rock asked Cody Rhodes everything about his soul, and Cody Rhodes said that his soul already belongs to the people.
Mm-hmm.
He said stuff to The Rock that we can't say on this show, which completely caught me off guard. I was not expecting something like that. Uncensored. It's uncensored on all the platforms. Obviously, they censored it on the replay for Monday Night Raw, but if you go watch it on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter, it's all uncensored. And then John Cena popped. Him and Cody Rhodes hugged. And you see John Cena look up, dead face stare at The Rock. The Rock cuts his throat with 2 fingers. Previously was 3 fingers. We got 2 fingers. And John Cena kicked Cody below the belt. Beat the absolute hell out of Cody Rhodes. Travis Scott helped. Travis Scott, I don't know if it was a punch, a chop, a slap.
Yeah, he slapped the crap out of him.
Looked like a Kali chop. Slapped, whatever. Cody's face was bruised by the end of that segment. This, I mean, some people are debating no, some people are not stupid. This has to be the biggest heel turn since Hulk Hogan joining the NWO.
100%. I think that this was such a huge shocker. I mean, it's one of those things where you could have easily spoken about John Cena heel turn and this and that, but you didn't really actually believe it until you saw it. I know I never thought that we were going to see John Cena turn heel by the end of this year. I did not think that he was going to turn heel. I thought that 100% Cody Rhodes was going to turn heel, and I didn't
think that. I thought we were seeing Drew McIntyre.
Well, you could still see Drew McIntyre.
But I mean, in that instance.
I didn't think in that instinct, but I also still think that Cody Rhodes can turn heel.
That would make no sense.
To keep to this and everything, I thought the way that this was performed and conducted, it was perfect. It was executed really well. At the very end, you had John Cena putting his boot on Cody Rhodes' face as they all stood tall.
We could have done without the sage spots from Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that was a thing. I don't know what was the deal there, but when
That was marijuana, right? Yeah.
or sage, according to commentary, but
Okay, yeah, no, it was marijuana.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
But
I don't know why he has to bring the marijuana to the ring as
I don't
often
know.
as he does.
Especially like you don't want to, I don't know, be impaired or whatever. But
I mean,
I'm gonna
maybe that's
say,
why he hit him so hard.
I don't know. They say he's been training, so whoever's training him needs to train him how to not do that again. But when I'm going to say SummerSlam, right before SummerSlam perhaps, when John Cena does that I Want My Country Back promo, that Sergeant Slaughter hit, it's going to pop off. And all is going to be forgiven for John Cena. He's going to become that
So
big
you're
baby face.
you're saying SummerSlam, not later.
I don't know. I find it hard to. I mean, it's very possible that we could see John Cena as a huge heel at MetLife Stadium, but
I think we're gonna see him a huge heel until at least Survivor Series.
I don't know. It's hard to call with that, but I really do think that when he hits that whatever the promo, I'm sorry. I
it's
think
going to be huge.
Yeah.
But I think that right now, I mean, now there's speculation of that there's one more person to join them. Huh?
Ethan Page, The Rock said, I'll see you up on the main roster. It's not laughing. I'm not laughing.
I think that it's going to be either... I think Cody Rhodes will join them, but I don't think he's included in the number.
Cody's not joining them. Get that out of your head. It makes no sense. That would make zero sense.
All right, then let me make sense to you. At some point, Kevin Owens has to be right. At some point, he has to be right, because then it brings full circle to him, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes. Everything with that. Kevin Owens will be right. And Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel at some point. I think that whether he turns heel this year or next year...
It would also mean Drew McIntyre's right.
Yeah, exactly. Drew McIntyre could be right, is going to be correct too. I think Cody Rhodes is turning heel by the end of this year, at least next year for sure. I think that...
Your predictions are too wild. I don't think so. Unless they're doing a double turn, I don't know.
I think that he's definitely... I think Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel. I think Kevin Owens is going to be the face after telling everybody that he was correct. I think that the person that could align themselves together with The Rock, maybe it is CM Punk. He just called him out on
You're throwing way too many things out there. I don't know.
There's a lot to digest with this, you know.
You're like,
it could
also
be CM Punk joining them. I mean, he's been speaking about being the devil and everything like that, and The Rock talking about selling the soul. It's very possible CM Punk once again got denied being the main event. What does he have to do to get the main event? He has no other choice. He needs to align himself with the person who's in charge, and that's
but why would The Rock? That means The Rock then turns on John Cena. Why would The Rock jeopardize John Cena, his champion? John Cena sold his soul to The Rock.
Oh no, I'm not talking about WrestleMania.
Oh,
yeah, this storyline. This is not going to end at WrestleMania.
We have Paul Heyman still. We don't know what that favor was.
Well, I think that the favor is going to be CM Punk uses his favor to have the Roman Reigns prevent any interference of The Rock in a matchup of his, and that's going to lead to The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania next year. That could be a match at Survivor Series or SummerSlam, but it's going to lead to the Roman Reigns versus The Rock next year based off of that favor. But it could. I think that at some point we could see CM Punk join them. I definitely think Kevin Owens is going to be correct.
I don't know.
There's so much how much fun is this, though? This is the WWE, and it's so unpredictable right now, and there really is so much that can be written in fantasy book. There's really so much that could be written, and it's nice to finally be able to write some stuff out.
It's also crazy that, like, the biggest angle since 1996 took place, and you follow up Monday Night Raw, we know John Cena's not there. And I go into Monday Night Raw thinking, like, ooh, how on earth could they possibly not have any follow-up like that with John Cena?
Mm-hmm.
You kick it off with CM Punk literally on fire. Figuratively,
yeah.
I should say, not literally.
Not literally, but...
But he was pissed off. He yelled at The Rock. He mocked the Goosebumps and everything with The Rock's entrance. He touched on John Cena and said that he's going to get his hands on both of them. He moves on to Seth freaking Rollins, said basically
who I think is going to align himself with The Rock as well. Just saying.
Who knows?
Seth Rollins is totally turning heel at some point, too.
He said CM Punk's going to align...
It's possible. It's possible. If CM Punk doesn't align, Seth Rollins is Okay, ready? CM Punk is not aligning. Seth Rollins definitely is.
I don't even know right now. So Seth Rollins, CM Punk in his promo said that Becky Lynch better get Seth Rollins before he puts Seth Rollins in a wheelchair. Seth Rollins came out. CM Punk takes off and brawls with Seth Rollins. It was finally broken up, and then Seth ran back down. It was an absolutely incredible open.
I agree.
Then later on, Seth Rollins was on his way out of the building. CM Punk sees him again. They start brawling.
This is what's going to happen. Ready? Seth Rollins is joining The Rock. CM Punk, he's not going to have a heel turn. CM Punk is going to be the new face, but Cody Rhodes is turning heel at some point.
I don't think that's happening.
CM Punk is going to be...
Adam Pearce set up a steel cage at Madison Square Garden between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Becky Lynch's name was brought into this.
We're not getting the intergender matchup. AJ Lee is not returning for a matchup against both of them. Not at... I
can't say anything, no, for sure.
Could it be at WrestleMania?
I literally can't say no for sure, because what is CM Punk doing at WrestleMania? What's Seth Rollins doing at WrestleMania?
If CM Punk, think about it if CM Punk's not in the main event, which he really wants to be, what would be another great option for him? Be in a WrestleMania matchup with his wife.
Anything's
that would
possible.
that would be a dream situation, I'm sure, for them to be able to say that they actually teamed together.
Yeah, which they might have already teamed together, but.
Then you have CM Punk do the entire Elizabeth Macho Man part with having her sitting on his shoulder.
I think you need a journal or something.
Dude, there's so much coming out of this. There's so much much happening.
First match on Monday Night Raw saw Gunther pick up the victory over Otis, with Gunther cutting a promo beforehand, comparing Otis to Jey Uso. Also made fun of Otis's weight, as if he's not a former fat himself. As if Otis
as
being
if he's
overweight,
not a former fat.
Yeah, as if that defined Gunther when he was fat, when it doesn't define Otis either. But as far as the match goes, like last week with Akira Tozawa, Otis was able to get offense in. He got a lot more offense in than Akira Tozawa did.
And also the crowd is so behind Otis.
I think Maxine has a match next week against Gunther, but...
Hey, might as well at this rate. Monday Night Raw.
I think my favorite spot of this match was the chop spot. That was very well done.
You had Otis just getting it hot and being like, you know what? Let's go. And he rips off his t-shirt and has a slap fest with Gunther, but Gunther coming out on top.
Yeah. And it's very rare that we see Gunther like that, where he's handled like that by Otis.
Yeah,
Gunther,
I thought that it was a good match to come out of the CM Punk Seth Rollins.
Which
aspect.
even after that, I'm like, how the hell are they going to follow this whole thing up? In this segment, I thought this was a well done match. Gunther powerbombed Otis to pick up that win, and then he locked Otis in a sleeper afterwards. Tozawa jumped on Gunther, and then eats a powerbomb onto Otis. And then he picked up Otis. It looked like he was going for a powerbomb to Otis onto Akira Tozawa. Jey Uso came out, and they brawled. And when that was done, A-Town Down Under attacked Jey Uso. And he took them out, but then Gunther came back in, locked Jey in his sleeper, put him out.
Yeah.
I think Jey Uso is facing either Grayson Waller or Austin Theory next week at the Garden. Not 100% sure on that.
It's possible. I like that the both of them could still work together, but yet in the promos that they're doing, there are signs that there's kind of a little bit of tension between them where Waller keeps on like calling out Theory, especially like how he's like a Jey Uso fan and stuff like that.
The video that came out, somebody posted of, who was it? It was
them arriving with Dominic.
Yeah, where he's trash talking Dom and Grayson Waller, and he's like, Austin, I love you. And then you see like Austin react to that. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I thought the end was funny where he's continuously trash talking Dominic, and then
Dom, I love you.
Then out of like right when it comes cuts, he's like, I love you.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Like, it's funny because you could tell that the fans were just, like, everybody was just having legit fun at the expense of each other.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Back in the day, they would actually jump the barricade and whip the heck out of
Yeah, right?
the
They would also be
wrestlers,
tossing batteries.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Lyra Valkyria pick up the victory over Ivy Nile to retain. I gotta say, didn't get into this matchup.
I thought this was well done. This has been building up for weeks. I like it was somewhat early on. They did it was a dragon screw off the middle rope from Ivy Nile, and from that she worked on Lyra's leg throughout the match. I thought she looked very good in this match, and it looked like Lyra could possibly lose, but eventually I think on one leg she hit Nightwing to pick up that win. It was her second attempt. The first one she couldn't do because her leg was hurt.
Yeah. And I do like the fact that I liked how they showed the pre-Monday Night Raw videos of, like, Nile and
the Creeds.
The Creeds. Yeah, I like that, showing them warming up and everything. I was a fan of that part, but this matchup,
After that, we had Ludwig Kaiser come out, speak about Penta, and this is a pretty big line to drop, I think, from somebody, because it's not like Kaiser is like main event or anything, but he said he's going to do worse to Penta than what John Cena did to Cody Rhodes. And I think that's like a pretty like big statement coming from somebody. Mm-hmm. But Penta showed up. He went to hit the Penta driver. Kaiser got out of it, but Penta had the upper hand there. I assume something's going to happen at the Garden next week between them.
Yeah, I could see that.
Penta would have his, I believe, only second match at the Garden at that point. Only first in the Arena Bowl itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wrestled that AAA Lucha Invades New York show.
I mean, and now maybe we'll get Phoenix too.
Yeah, speaking of Phoenix, you had Chad Gable, a video aired of him in Mexico. They showed footage of him wandering, I guess, looking for the dark arts of Lucha Libre. And
yeah,
I have
he was
to
looking
assume,
for Aleister Black.
I don't think so, but I assume the person that he ran into was not a real person, and it was like a mask that the person was wearing. Because I don't.
They showed the guy's face.
What?
They showed the guy's face.
Yeah, that's why I don't think that was a real person.
What do you mean?
I feel like that was like a mask, a prosthetic mask or something.
Oh,
like that didn't look like a real person to me.
I don't know.
It's
I
very
it was
possible
a real person,
that
but I don't think it's
very, very possible that it was, but I just didn't look like a real person to me.
Yeah, I think it was a real person, but I don't think it was real important.
I think it looked like a mask to me. One of those like Halloween masks you get at Party City almost, but a step above.
Uh-huh.
But it was an old guy who gave Chad Gable a box, and people are speculating that maybe this is how Phoenix comes in, and it's not Phoenix and Penta as Lucha Bros, it's them facing each other and feuding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily see that, but what the hell could be in that box? I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get Penta and Phoenix together as one. But I think we're gonna get Chad Gable wrestling under a mask. I mean, he said in order for him to be there, he has to become Lucha Libre. I think we're gonna get Chad Gable having like a Kurt Angle kind of a thing, or I think he's going to end up wearing a Lucha Libre mask and really diving into this character of being obsessed with trying to overcome it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know. It just that to me that seems like it. I mean, obviously a mask is very possible to fit in that box. That seems the most likely of things that were inside that box.
Exactly.
So we'll have to see. War Raiders picked up the victory over the Creeds to retain the tag team championships. The Creeds on absolute fire. But I think Ivy Nile had a better showing for me. Even though they lost those title matches, they don't come out of those matches looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think the highlight of this match was maybe Julius hitting the shooting star press on Ivar.
That was cool.
And I thought that was going to be the end of the match. I wasn't expecting the Creeds to walk out as champions. But the Raiders eventually hit their finish and picked up the victory over Brutus to retain the championships.
Yeah.
After that, you had Finn Balor interrupt Bron Breakker's Bron Breakker's interview that he was doing during a commercial break. And Finn Balor said that the only reason why Bron Breakker is still Intercontinental Champion is because the Judgment Day lets him be champion. And Bron Breakker said that he embarrassed everyone last week. And Balor shot back by saying he's untouchable and can take the title from Bron Breakker whenever he wants. And also, I guess, goaded Breakker towards the ring. He told him he was hiding up by Jackie Redmond. And Breakker was like, oh, screw this. I'll come right down to you. And he went down to the ring. Carlito tried to jump him, but Bron Breakker took him out. Dominic tried to take him out, but Dom got taken out. Dom was pushing earlier for a new member, which Finn Balor again shut down. Finn Balor, by the way, seemed like he was pissed off that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez won those titles.
Yeah, he made a comment to Liv Morgan, especially, so...
And I said that last week. I was like, I guarantee you he's going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So now that everybody got taken out again, and Dom's been pushing for a new member, who knows if we will?
It's tough to say right now, but...
Bron Breakker got into the ring, and Balor temporarily put him down, but he got him up for a press. Dom pulled Finn Balor out before Balor could get speared. Yeah. And then Carlito ate a spear to end that segment. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a very good segment, I thought.
I think it's possible that we do see that in itself could be a WrestleMania match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Okay.
Prior to this, I would have thought AJ Styles might potentially be in an Intercontinental Championship match. Like I said before, he's calling out Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll get a really good match out of AJ Styles and Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
100%, I agree.
Earlier in the night, we saw Bianca Belair interviewed. She was asked about Jade Cargill and Naomi. And she said out of respect to both of them, she's not going to talk about it. She just wants to focus on her WrestleMania opponent. And then she went and watched this match from ringside. This was a fantastic main event. This was a great match. Io Sky picked up the victory over Rhea Ripley to become the new champion.
This was special.
I went into this match thinking Rhea Ripley was winning. But at the same time, I could not say that she was winning with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really hoping that we'd see that maybe this could somehow turn into a triple threat at WrestleMania. I think I'll put a pin in that for now.
Yeah,
but
put a pin.
They cooked, man. To use the lingo of today, they absolutely freaking cooked.
They definitely cooked. This entire matchup was great. I think that the aspect of Bianca Belair at ringside made it even better. It was very good.
There was a moment where Rhea Ripley went for a riptide, and I was like, oh, that's going to be the end of the match. Io counters it with a DDT. Io hit moves from Dakota Kai. She hit moves from Kairi Sane. She used the Asuka lock. I thought that was really cool to see her work in all those damage control moves. I would have popped if she hit like a Rose Plant or something just to like add a thing in for Bayley, even though they're not together anymore. Io at one point did that sunset flip powerbomb off through the ropes into the barricade. She hit an over the moonsault onto Rhea Ripley's back, and Rhea got her foot on the rope. That was a great spot. And then it came down to where Bianca Belair starts cheering for Io. Io's trying to make the 10 back in. She makes the count. And then Rhea Ripley sees that Bianca Belair was cheering for Io, thinking they were friends. And she goes out, gets in her face, and pushes Bianca Belair down. And that led to Bianca Belair pushing back, and the referee got between them. She didn't call for a DQ.
No DQ, but the other week with her and Liv and Io, there was a DQ.
But was that a punch or a push?
I believe it started with the push.
I think,
but
was it not a punch?
But that Bianca Belair from behind, that, come on. I mean, I guess the saving
shove,
grace is
perhaps more than a push.
I guess the saving grace is now you could always say that it's up to the referee's discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think that spot, even though like backstage Rhea Ripley's like super down on herself, I think that could still lead to a triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley in the match goes for a riptide from the middle rope. Io countered that with a Hurricane Rana, and then hit the over the moonsault to win, which makes Io a Grand Slam champion. She was the first Grand Slam champion in Stardom, 7th in WWE for the women. I think if you're gonna, we don't know the actual match is set as The Rock, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. That's obviously main eventing night 2, though. I would really like to see, if this gets turned into a triple threat match, I would really like to see that main event night 1.
It would be nice to see the women get a main event. We'll have to see. There's so much that could happen.
Deserve.
Oh,
100%. That's what Triple H said to Io.
Yeah.
So, fantastic match. I'm happy that Io is champion. I would have been happy if Rhea Ripley was still champion. But at that rate, how do you get to a triple threat? I don't know. Right now, we know there's a triple threat.
I have problems with it because I am on board that Jade is going to go after Bianca.
And that's also, who knows?
I mean, it could easily be that Bianca is in the triple threat, and leading up to it, Jade finds out that Naomi was not the person, and maybe Jade is the reason why Bianca doesn't win at WrestleMania, leading to them to have a big match at SummerSlam, Jade versus Bianca. Or she wins the championship, or Bianca wins the championship, and then the next day on Raw, reveals that it was her and stuff, leading to Jade to step up to her.
I don't know. We'll have to see with that. Rhea Ripley has never defeated Io, so I think that's a story in WrestleMania also. If she somehow gets added to that and then beats Io there, takes the title
That's
then.
Interesting.
So that was Monday Night Raw. Going to move over to NXT. Lillian Garcia was ring announcing. I thought that was interesting. But it kicked off. Sol Ruca and Zarya picked up the victory over Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. I thought this was a good tag team match. I liked the constant tags. Chelsea Green broke up a pin by getting her leg on the rope at one point. Another point, she got busted the heck open. But she was, I would say, probably the most over in the match. Fans were doing the Pledge of Allegiance. They sang, I almost certain they sang the national anthem a bit. But Sol Ruca and Zarya hit like a doomsday moonsault. Piper accidentally splashed Chelsea. And then Zarya hit the F5 on Piper onto Chelsea, and then Sol Ruca hit the Soul Snatcher on Chelsea Green and picked up that victory. Jada Parker picked up the victory over Kalani Jordan. Kalani went for a lot of pins in this, and I think controlled most of it, but not by much. Jada Parker had a comeback and worked Kalani's back throughout the match. I like the body scissors where Jada Parker held on to it after Kalani, she had a few attempts to try to escape it. Jada Parker hit a teardrop earlier in the match, attempted one from the top rope, but Kalani Jordan got out of that. She tried to hit a superplex, and it seemed like Jada Parker was going to fight out of it, but Kalani Jordan turned that into a Spanish fly. Outside the ring, Jada Parker hit a running hip attack, and she went for another one against the steel steps, but Kalani Jordan moved. She missed a 450, and then Jada Parker hit another hip attack to get that victory there. This match went a lot longer than I expected it to, and the action was really nonstop in this. After the match, Jada Parker put Stephanie and Julia on notice. They aired a video package later on for their match between Julia and Stephanie Vicor. That was a very nice video package. I don't know if it's the biggest women's match in NXT history, like they're saying, but I understand hyping it up as that. Vic Joseph said it's going to be a unification match, and I feel like that's not the right thing to do. You had the Hardy Boys come out. They were happy to be back. Matt said something in NXT is special, and they addressed Fraxium. Jeff Hardy compared their fire to a young Hardy Boys. Hank and Tank interrupted to thank them, but the fans were booing. And they asked the Hardys for advice on how to get to the next level. They said break the norm, take things to the extreme. And then Josh Briggs and Inamura came out, told Hank and Tank to stop kissing butt. They were also booed. Briggs said that they're going to be taking a title shot from the Hardys. And then Hank and Tank dove onto Josh Briggs and Inamura. They brawled to the back. The Hardys are facing the entrance. And then Matt Hardy's like, Fraxium, I knew you'd come. So that was great. Fraxium was standing right behind them. And then Matt Hardy basically told them to bring their best next week at Madison Square Garden. That should be freaking awesome. Jordynne Grace picked up the victory over Cora Jade via ref stoppage. This was set up earlier in Ava's office when Cora brought up Masha Slamovich. And then she was ringside for this, but it was pretty even. I don't know what happened here. They commentary said Cora Jade slipped on the bottom rope. I never saw that. And then she got pushed into the corner very slowly. You could see something was wrong. And doctors checked on Cora Jade. Then they called for the match. And she tweeted that she got rocked for a second. And her knees were all good. So even though it looked like it was her knees, I guess she got knocked in the head. And maybe it's a concussion. I don't know. But I'm glad she's not injured with her knees or anything like that. Hopefully she's recovered. Later on, Roxanne Perez attacked Jordynne Grace, and Ava made that a match for next week at the Garden. They did a sit-down interview with Ethan Page and Javon Evans just to hype up their street fight next week. The doors in the theater at Madison Square Garden literally open right up into the street. So I think it'd be cool to see them utilize that. We saw Trick Williams pick up the victory over Cal Dixon. Dixon blamed Trick Williams for what happened to Chase U after Trick got in his face. This match begins, boom, Trick shot, he pummels him a little bit, the ref calls it out. That's it. I thought that was a great finish. Kind of awkward having those back-to-back ref stoppage situations, but I'm sure obviously the previous one wasn't planned. Afterwards, Trick Williams called Eddie Thorpe out. Thorpe showed up on that platform in the crowd, and he said that he should be the guy in NXT. And he's going to beat Trick in Underground, basically sets that up. You had the main event. Shawn Spears picked up the victory over Tony D'Angelo to become the new North American champion. The match, for most of this match, wasn't hooking me. The maybe last 5 minutes or so I was into. Throughout the match, though, I couldn't think of what the outcome of this would be. I did like, at one point, Shawn Spears blocked Tony's fisherman suplex by moving his leg back a few times. I feel like we don't see that as a block to the fisherman suplex. So I thought that was nice. But he did finally hit it. Izzy Dame pulled Shawn Spears out of the pin to break that up. Adriana Rizzo jumped onto her, and then the family and Spears' group fought each other in the ring. Shawn Spears pushed Stacks into Tony. Tony goes off the apron and lands on a chair. And then Shawn Spears hit him with the C4. Tony kicked out. And I'm like, oh, of course, Tony D'Angelo is going to retain. I'm fine with him retaining. I was not pulling for Shawn Spears to win, but I wasn't pulling for Tony to lose or win either way. Shawn Spears went for a C4 again. Tony got out of that, goes for a spine buster. His back gave out. And Shawn Spears was able to cover him, get that victory. And the fans almost went silent when that happened. But I think this could be a way to get Ricky Saints as North American champion, probably maybe stand and deliver. So it was a very eventful NXT. Next week, Madison Square Garden. Like I said, I wish I was going to be there, but it's unfortunate. I'm not going to talk about SmackDown. I'm going to Florida, so everything that happens on SmackDown, all those major talking points, I'll cover next week. So right now, I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
Okay, this is a superstar, Billy Graham, the man of the hour, the man with power, and you listen to Marking Out. And everybody, please mark out one more time. All right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out, episode 735. Moving back to AEW Collision from last week, it kicked off with Undisputed Kingdom picking up the victory over FTR. I still do not get why this was a match. Why that match took place the other week where FTR randomly teamed with Daniel Garcia to take on the Undisputed Kingdom. But this match was awesome. When I think of classic NXT, you think of matches like this, even though it would have been Roderick Strong and not Bobby Fish here in this match. And if I'm not mistaken, it was only once that they actually faced off against each other. But this was great. That leg spot I thought was interesting. Dax hit Kyle O'Reilly with a pile driver, and Kyle got his leg on the rope during the 3 count. The ref did not see it. Dax refused to win like that. That's when I think of FTR. When they came to AEW, that's what I thought we were going to be seeing from them. And then it just completely went out the window, and tag team matches were not what I thought we were going to get when FTR was going to do it, but they refused to win like that. The match was restarted. That ending sequence I thought was very well done. And then FTR refused to shake hands, so I thought that was interesting. You had Wheeler Yuta pick up the victory over Willie Mack. It's always nice to see Willie Mack on TV, but he's never won a match on AEW television, so I had no reason to think he was winning. I don't think this is a match that prepares Wheeler Yuta for Edge, WWE Hall of Famer Edge. I don't think so. If you take that aspect out of it, if you take the story out of it, I thought this match was fine. Mox showed up afterwards and attacked Willie Mack. And then Jon Moxley told Wheeler Yuta to make sure Edge doesn't leave on his own on Dynamite. And then had Wheeler Yuta attack Willie Mack. And then on AEW Dynamite, Edge picked up the victory over Wheeler Yuta. You don't really need to say anything about that. It wasn't a one-sided match, but Edge wasn't losing this. And after the match, Edge pulled Wheeler Yuta up and shook his hand and said, that's what respect feels like. That was more interesting than the whole match. And then Jon Moxley showed up afterwards to yell at Wheeler Yuta. And he shoved Wheeler Yuta, and then Yuta shoved him back on his way out. And then Mox told Wheeler Yuta to keep walking. I don't really see how that means Mox is alone since, he wasn't taken out. The other ones were taken out brutally. Wheeler Yuta walked on his own. Maybe pushed away by Jon Moxley, but he still walked away on his own. So I don't know what's going to happen at Revolution between the two of them, but you'll see. You had Toni Storm cut a promo from her bed in a neck brace, and she said that she's leaving her soul at home at Revolution. I do not know why you'd have anybody mention a soul when it was the biggest thing on WWE programming. The biggest thing on WWE programming was, Cody, I want your soul. Why would you mention soul? And then Toni Storm laid out the match at Revolution, falls count anywhere, stripped off her neck brace. She's good to go. They did a sit-down interview. It was more Toni Storm and Mariah May. I'm over it. I've been over it. You had Swerve pick up the victory over Clark Connors. I think for being a pretty unknown person to AEW television, you could have expected this match to be much shorter than they actually had. They did show off footage of him from New Japan, so I thought that was good. But like Wheeler Yuta and Willie Mack, if you take storyline out of it, since there really is none, the match was good. It was a good showcase match for Clark Connors. I'm not sure if that necessarily works to build to a match against Ricochet in the manner that Ricochet and Swerve have been having. But good on Clark Connors for being impressive on TV, I guess. And I just didn't like the fact that Swerve came off looking like he could be defeated by Clark Connors. How does that set up a match against Ricochet? I don't see it. You had Shane Taylor Promotions pick up the victory over Dave Dutra, Nick Ruiz, and Vinny Massaro. Nothing to talk about here. Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole ended in a no contest. I think it would have been nice if Daniel Garcia wasn't so boring to me, and if Adam Cole won the championship. But for the most part, I thought the match was decent. The ending was garbage. Shane Taylor Promotions, after beating nobody, showed up and attacked both of them. That I hate. Queen Aminata picked up the victory over Julia Hart. This was a beyond shocking victory for Queen Aminata, and a beyond shocking loss for Julia Hart. I literally said last week that their match was meaningless because Queen Aminata never gets meaningful wins, especially on television. And I said that they could have done so much more with that last match. Now they did. Now there's meaning. But now I have to hope that they don't do that, the whole start and stop with Queen Aminata. The match itself was still somewhat basic, but even though it was a bit shorter than the last match, I thought this was better. I feel like they delivered a lot more in this than the last match. The sell from Julia from that kick that won the match from Queen Aminata was great. Give us more women's matches like this. Brody King went to check on Julia afterwards, and Okada attacked him because earlier in the night, Okada interrupted Julia's promo and Brody bumped him afterwards. I'll put a pin in that. And then the main event saw Bandito and Powerhouse Hobbs pick up the victory over the Learning Tree. They did the 5 paces gimmick, and I checked out. Why am I seeing a comedy spot in matches that are supposed to be these blood feuds? I don't get it. AEW Dynamite kicked off Powerhouse Hobbs, the Conglomeration, and Will Ospreay, picking up the victory over the Learning Tree and the Don Callis family. Where's Bandito in this? He was just in that previous match. Now he's gone. And who needs this match? Who needed all these feuds to combine into one match? This was a match for a live crowd. For TV, I couldn't care less. If I was there live, I probably would have enjoyed it more. The Don Callis family took the faces out after the match. Mark Davis choked Will Ospreay. I feel like we didn't get a good enough explanation as to why he turned on Will Ospreay and joined the family. And then Kyle Fletcher made him hit Will Ospreay with a chair, and Kyle Fletcher hit a brainbuster through the chair. I thought the aftermath was a good spot. I guess minus the Mark Davis part. You had Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford pick up the victory over Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. That, I think, was an expected outcome, and what I would say is the right outcome. And this was my favorite match from AEW Dynamite. Good constant tags from Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. You had Penelope Ford at one point accidentally hit Megan Bayne in the corner, and Chris Statlander hit a Fisherman Michinoku driver. I would have sworn that was it. But Penelope Ford kicked out. I would have been shocked if it was the end of the match right there, but I really thought that Chris Statlander was about to win. Really, the only complaint that I have is I wish there was more referee control. It did make for a cool ending where Thunder Rosa scooped Penelope Ford up, and Penelope Ford wiggled out of that and sent her in the ropes, and then that led into Megan Bayne scooping her up for the F5. So far, Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne seem like there could be a good team between the two of them. So we'll see what happens with that. Jay White picked up the victory over Max Caster. This was under a minute. Another one of those open challenges from Max Caster. It's obviously leading to something. I shouldn't say obvious, but I hope it's obviously leading to something. But what they're leading to, I have absolutely no idea. And then Jay White cut a promo afterwards saying he'll be in Edge's corner for the pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we could see him turning on Edge. Or maybe he helps Edge win the championship. Earlier in the night, they did a contract signing between Swerve and Ricochet. I think there's no reason to have this and that match, the main event, especially since the contract signing was pretty much what we've seen and heard already, plus the ending of that. Ricochet tried to stab Swerve with scissors. Swerve stopped him and then jabbed him in the head with his own pair of scissors. Should that not be the most brutal thing that potentially either ends Dynamite or leads the next thing we see between the two of them, their match? Instead, we get Okada and Ricochet beating Brody King and Swerve. I feel like this was the laziest thrown together match of the night. More so than that opening contest because they just combined those two matches. Even though they already had that previous contract signing segment where Ricochet gets stabbed, he should be out. And then you have this match end. Ricochet cracks Swerve in the head with Okada's title and gets the win. Obviously, I think that's leading to Ricochet losing at the pay-per-view, but I don't understand it. But you have AEW Revolution taking place at the Crypto Arena in Los Angeles, California. You got the Big Boom, AJ, and the Conglomeration taking on Johnny TV and Maximum Male Models. It's Big Boom AJ all the way. 100%. Very weird seeing Orange Cassidy on a kickoff show like that, but 100% Big Boom AJ's going over. You got Okada versus Brody King for that Continental Championship. Okada. Ospreay and Fletcher. Steel cage match. I'm going to say Will Ospreay. MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. This one is probably a tough one to call. I think I'm going to say Hangman. Enough happened between them that I think it has to be Hangman. MJF almost lit him on fire on Dynamite. So I'm going to say Hangman. You have Swerve versus Ricochet where the winner becomes number one contender for the AEW Championship. I'm going to say Ricochet, hoping that it's Ricochet with Prince Nana turning on Swerve and helping Ricochet. I could very well see it being Swerve, and I don't want to see that. I really hope it's Ricochet. For the AEW TBS Championship, Momo Watanabe is challenging the champion Mercedes Moné. I don't see Momo winning. I'm going to say Mercedes retains. AEW Tag Team Championships on the line. Hurt Syndicate defending the titles against the Outrunners. No chance in hell comes to mind for the Outrunners. The Hurt Syndicate will be winning. Falls Count Anywhere match for the Women's Championship. Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Toni Storm. No way Mariah May's taking that title again. AEW International Championship on the line. Konosuke Takeshita taking on Kenny Omega. I think this is Omega. I think it has to be Omega. On something, unless something huge happens, I think it has to be Kenny Omega. And then for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley versus Edge. This is a tough call because if Jay White turns on Edge to cost him the match, maybe join the Death Riders, which really wouldn't make sense. You have the whole Christian cashing in thing. I'm going to say Edge. And if Christian does cash in, I hope Edge retains. Because we literally saw that. It'd be like copy and paste. I really don't want to see that. So hopefully Edge wins, and then the AEW Championship gets to be showcased. So those are my predictions for AEW Revolution. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
Hey, Kermit the Frog here, and you're listening to Brandon Shoutouts. Yay!
Win or Lose gets the first shout-out. It's a new show on Disney Plus. I believe it's a spin-off of Inside Out.
Okay.
It follows a co-ed middle school softball team in the week leading up to a championship game. And it follows a mix of students and coaches and umpires and parents. So it's not just the problems from that a child would deal with, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's a Pixar film show. Will Forte is the voice of the coach. The whole series, I think, should be out by March 12th, but I don't think this is for children.
Oh.
I think it might be for what's the thing after? Maybe young teens or something, and adults, because there are adult situations in this. So,
interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say adult, I mean like parenting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say check that out on Disney Plus. Did I mention that? I think I did. My next shout out goes to The White Lotus. Have you ever watched this or no?
Never seen an episode of it.
It's borderline an anti shout out though.
Oh, is it because of the theme song? Because I've been hearing a lot of people say
I hated that theme song. I hated that theme song. It was so freaking creepy. But yeah, people are pissed off that they changed the theme song. But seasons 1 and 2 were so good, and I'm not finding that this season is as good as those were. I'm obviously going to keep watching, but right now, for me, it's lacking a lot. Maybe Jennifer Coolidge was like the magic that held those seasons together and made them what they were. I don't know. But if you haven't watched The White Lotus, I would say 100%. It airs on HBO. It airs on Max. I would say 100% check it out. My last shout out is going to Gene Hackman, who passed away last week at the age of 96. There's still like details that we don't know about the death, but he was found with his wife and his dog also. But I wanted to touch on his career. More so, it spanned 6 decades. He played many roles in so many iconic movies. He has Oscars for The French Connection and Unforgiven. He was in Bonnie and Clyde. He was in Superman, The Birdcage.
Bonnie and Clyde. That was always a good movie.
He was in Get Shorty. You ever see Get Shorty? That was a great movie.
I don't remember.
With Travolta and Uma Thurman. The sequel was, what was it called? I can't remember. It starts with a B. The Rock was in it.
I got, no.
B.
No.
I can't remember. But that was a good movie. Behind Enemy Lines. He was great in Hoosiers. We had to watch that in school.
Very sad. Just a talented actor.
A movie that I know I definitely saw in theaters that I think is probably my favorite Gene Hackman movie was The Replacements. And he retired from acting in 2004. Literally one of the best actors of the 20th century.
Yeah, he was awesome, you know.
And a lot of people, his last movie was Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano. A lot of people hated that movie. I found it to be fine. I didn't hate that movie. So it's unfortunate that he passed away. Go watch his movies this weekend and pay tribute to him.
Yeah.
Those are my shout outs. Now it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. I could mention WWE 2K25, including a 2010 version of the Usos and Tamina, which we didn't know about.
All right, say it.
And I could also mention a My Faction 97 version of Rob Van Dam, which was unexpected. But honestly, nothing's going to top that John Cena stuff.
I agree.
And besides, I'm before we even get back to that, I'm more annoyed that all these there's so many superstars in this game that are copy and pasted attires.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rey Mysterio of all people. How is Rey Mysterio copy and paste? I think that's probably the most shocking for me, although Carmella still has gear from 2022, which is insane. It also sucks that they removed Rey Mysterio's the 96 and 97 attire, and then his 06 model didn't make it in. I don't understand it. I don't understand how something like that happens. And then we also found out that, like DDP, there's a current version of Alundra Blaze with a pretty similar look to the Evolution attire, but it's going to be in My Rise, so I thought that was pretty cool. But I'll have to talk more about 2K25 next week when I actually play it. But like I said, the ending to Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that ending was incredible. I mean, it was just it was nice to be swerved. And yeah, totally marked out for that. Can list so many different things, but gotta go with it.
Major League Baseball was all over it. The Mets posted about it. I saw a soccer club say they have to now distance themselves from John Cena after what happened. Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp spoke about it on ESPN.
Jon Stewart mentioned it on The Daily Show.
Well, he was comparing that to
exactly, but still,
climate. But yeah, it was mentioned. Yeah,
you know,
it was very big,
wild.
I still I couldn't believe it. My mouth was on the floor watching all of that. We didn't even mention John Cena clocked Cody Rhodes with that watch that Cody gave to The Rock.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. That's the Mark Out moment of the week. Mark Out Moments. And that is episode 735. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161, Chris Sweendog, CMSween85 on Instagram, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/Markin Out, YouTube and Instagram at Markin Out 11, ProWrestlingTees.com/Markin Out, at Markin Out on TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, markinout.com, and we wish you the best
of luck in your future endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.